Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about what we should do as homeowners when we get all those extra chemicals and we don't know quite what to do with. Our guest today is Frank Calderon from Miami-Dade Solid Waste Department. I'm Michael Miller. So Frank, tell us about the county's home chemicals program.
Yes, we have 2 centers, and now we have mobile events as well. So we have the 2 permanent centers where residents, and you don't have to be our customer. You don't have to receive solid waste service from us. As long as you're a resident, as long as it's residential waste, you can bring home chemicals that you shouldn't throw in the garbage. Stuff like pesticides, stuff like old fertilizer, gasoline if you have for a lawnmower, used motor oil, stuff like that.
So how would you suggest to people that they could transport these cans, of which they could be 2 to 20? What should they put them in temporarily so they don't burn out their back seat?
Well, I mean, be careful with it, of course. I might use, in my case, I'd probably use, plastic bag, maybe a few plastic bags in a box.
Yep.
If you're worried about that sort of thing.
Besides that, sometimes the county keeps those, and I mean, they offer them for other people. It's good for your soul that you're disposing of them properly.
Yes.
And it's good for the little kids, and they're seeing their parents doing that. So tell us again how somebody could get some free chemicals out of that process.
Yes. No. So how it works is when people bring stuff into us, if it's in good shape, if the container's in good shape and the item looks to not have been expired or whatever, we make it available. It's what we call the Chem Again program. And we make it available to residents on a first come, first served basis. We do post it weekly on our website, the items that we have, but that's subject to change. As soon as somebody sees it, they might come by and want to pick something up and it's gone.
So is it like a warehouse you walk in, or you say, hey, I'm looking for something, or do they point it out? How's that work?
They have more like these metal cages that you can kind of see through, and where they lock stuff up, and you can take a look and see what they have available. And if it suits you and you're there and it's available, you can take it. As long as you're a Miami-Dade County resident.
Maybe you could sort of do a trade. You bring them your stuff that you
can do that too.
And that's pretty neat. So you mentioned about you have the mobile program for
yes.
that. Tell us what started that, and tell us about some of the places it's been and how it's been working.
Well, we have 2 locations that are permanent, one in Doral and one in South Dade. Not everybody can reach them. And people ask us, there are other municipalities or other places in the country where they don't have the permanent centers, but they'll have mobile events. The issue for us was always the issue of permitting, because you've got basically household hazardous waste. So a couple of years ago, last year, as a matter of fact, we started doing these at sites that are already our sites anyway, where we accept waste materials, our trash and recycling centers. And that I think it's very convenient. I can tell you from my own personal experience as a customer, there's the one that's like down, I could almost walk to from my house. It's that close. And what I do is I wait, and when I know that they're going to have an event there, that's when I go.
Okay, so here we have chemicals. You send it over there, right? And you can go to the mobile, or you can go to the
permanent centers.
The 2 places. Things that are coming up frequently are, what do we do with the old computers, and what do we do with all these batteries that we are using?
Yes.
What do we do with them?
These sites and the mobile events, they'll take used electronics, including old computers and old batteries. Most importantly, batteries, there's a little bit of a distinction with that. Basically, if it's like your standard Eveready, Duracell, Rayovac, or generic alkaline or heavy duty battery, AA, AAA, C, D, those can be thrown in the garbage. Anything other than that, bring it to us. We'll take the rechargeable batteries, which should not be thrown in the garbage. We'll take the lithium-ion batteries, especially if it says lithium on it, please bring it to us. Please do not throw that in the garbage, because that can actually cause a fire. We'll take car batteries, motorcycle batteries, boat batteries that are basically operate on a different type of system, basically lead acid. We'll take those as well at our centers.
Let's talk about the computers. What does the county do with old computers and old cell phones and old TVs that people don't know quite what to do with?
Well, we have a contractor that takes them, and what they do is, if they're still usable, they rehabilitate them, and they I don't know if they sell them or they make them available in other countries. If they cannot be reused, they will take them. There's all kinds of metals. There's even like trace amounts of gold in computers, and they'll take that and they'll recycle it and sell it.
It's an amazing process. So so often you drive by, especially in certain parts of town, people are fixing their cars. Some are hobbyists, some are doing it improperly, right? But they're out there with the car up a little bit and they're changing the oil. Put aside that, then they shouldn't be doing it. What should they do with the oil?
Well, they could bring it to one of our 2 centers for disposal. If you are our customer, you can also take it. We have several TRCs we've expanded in the last few years, just trash and recycling centers, the so-called mini dumps where you can bring like old furniture and old tree. You can, some of them, not all of them. I would call 311 or check the website miamidade.gov/solid waste to see which ones accept used motor oil or used oil. And you could take it there to those places. And we've expanded in the last few years how many TRCs take it, and we're looking to expand it further.
It seems though your department has gotten a lot more attention recently, or is that I'm just more aware of it?
A little bit of both.
It's both.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but notice out in 118th Avenue, the county had one of those big trucks. It was a cleanup. It wasn't junk on it. It was the maintenance, the lawn guys that do the lawns. They were out there actually doing, and you can see the difference, right? And so it wasn't just the leaves, because when I looked at it, I went, no, there must have been all this stuff that's sort of hidden that you don't pay much attention to it. That's the stuff that people flick out the window and they think that it's okay to put it in a bunch of trees. And 6 months later, or 3, whatever it is, where we're paying folks to go to clean that. So let's talk about if somebody has an old boat and they don't want to take it. Where do people take old boats?
Old boats, they'll take them at our landfills. That's obviously a little bit, you're talking something a little bit different than than home chemicals. They'll take it at the landfill. If it has a motor with it, what they ask is that any fluids be removed, like gasoline and oil. But yeah, they'll take it at the landfill.
So I've seen people where they'll dump the hulls of boats. I'm sure they take off every ID that's on there. No motors but on them. And so some of them are like, they're all minimum of 15 feet, maybe up to 25 feet, and they just dump it. Does it cost a lot of money to pay the county to dump that?
To bring it, it's based on weight. The fees for landfills are available on our website. What they do is they prorate it though. So it's the fees are listed as per ton, but they prorate it. So you don't have to worry. You're not going to be stuck paying. I think that, and they're probably going to go up October 1st. I want to say they're in the ballpark of about $80 per ton, something like that. But it's prorated. So if you bring in, a ton is 2,000 pounds. You bring in, say, an item of 1,000 pounds, then it's $40. You're not going to pay, you need to bring a ton minimum. They don't have that. They charge you based on weight, and if it's only a few pounds, they're only going to charge you whatever a few pounds comes to.
So right now, the county has a place where you can take the home chemicals. Or you can go to their mobile site or any of the other sites. You can take your trash from your yard. You can take it to one of the TRCs. And the next thing is, as far as bulky waste pickup, tell us about that now that we are in the middle of, oh, by the way, happy Andrew anniversary, 32 years, I think.
Yeah.
Certainly a storm that changed most of our lives.
Yeah.
Right. I still get goosebumps when I think about it.
Yeah.
So tell us what it's on bulky waste, what people should do.
Well, I'm a weather geek, so I checked the weather this morning. 7 days right now. I think that's a max that that NOAA will commit to and say that there's no tropical development foreseen for the next 7 days. Bulky waste, a lot of people use it for stuff around their yard, big stuff. They may have a tree that they may need to bring down or several limbs that need to be trimmed off. We always tell people, especially if you're looking to do that because of the hurricane season, to try to do it before the season starts. We're now in the middle of the season. You can still do it. We just warn you that the appointment, now it's by appointment date, and the appointments, whatever's available is listed on our website, or you can call 311 and they'll tell you the next appointment date. I don't know how far out it goes right now. I don't know if it goes beyond the 7 days of no tropical development or if it's before that. But I can tell you that if something looks like it might come our way, that date is going to go farther because you're going to see people jump on. So if you have something that you need to get rid of, do it now.
On the website, it tells you what you could put out front.
Yes.
Specifically.
Yes.
And so the object is not for people to take the reconstruction of the apartment in the backyard and tear it apart and put it out front, because they don't want to take that.
No, they'll take a limited amount of C&D, as we call it, construction and demolition debris. Very limited, small amounts.
So what happens if somebody tries to bury it in the middle of all their old trees, and you go to dig it and go, look, we got 25 2x4s, some 4x8s.
No, if it's not, if it goes beyond the limit, you're going to be on the hook for removing it out of the right of way quickly, because you can get charged with illegal dumping if it's left out there.
So what I did, I'm not suggesting anybody, when I had a little bit, I neatly stacked it next to my regular stuff so they could take it or not take it, rather than try to bury it. And it so happens it was just very little, so they took it. So, I urge people not to try to sneak it in, because you're going to get busted.
Yeah, when they start picking it up, they pick up, a bucket. I don't know how much a bucket carries. That's a good question to ask our field people, but it takes so much, but they'll see it. They do a couple of buckets and they'll see the stuff there and that's underneath, and they'll know.
So let's talk about illegal dumping. I know it's a big deal. I see the guys out all the time, checking and make sure the neighborhoods are clean. It's certainly, the county seems to be a lot cleaner than a couple of years ago. So either picking up faster or less people are dumping, right? Probably some of each.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But enforcement on that stuff is real.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Can you imagine getting arrested like those twins did? What are you in here for? Illegal dumping. I dumped some old furniture and the cops busted me.
Yeah.
They handcuffed them and took them to...
They will. For illegal dumping. That's how serious it is. It's a crime.
Yeah. So, and I know we touched on it before, but let's talk about dead animals that appear to be on your property, let's say out front next to when you pull in there. Who should somebody call?
You just reminded me, because on the way in, the route I chose to drive here today, I drove past my church, St. Thomas the Apostle Catholic Church, and there's a dead raccoon in front of the church on the street. So I have to call 311 and tell them and give them the location and tell them there is a dead raccoon out there. So yeah, it goes through. You call 311 and they route the request to Animal Services. If it's in the right of way, if it's on private property, then you're on your own.
Shovel in a hole works wonders. So, tell us, if you would, about some of the recycling products that the county is handling now.
Some of the recycling products in our program that we'll take: plastic bottles, glass bottles. The only type of plastic we take, plastic bottles, and we're also taking, we didn't take these before, yogurt and butter tubs. But that's it. No plastic bags, no clamshell, no salad container, just those types of plastics. And then, of course, we take paper, cardboard. We'll now take pizza boxes as long as they're lightly soiled and not like super greasy. And we also take cans, aluminum, metal food and beverage cans.
With so many people
and cartons
having food delivered to their house, whether by the store or one of the services, there's so many containers that are being delivered, which they didn't have before, because before we would go to the restaurant, they would use the dishes, they'd clean the dishes. It appears as though that most of the stuff that we get, our food in from business, is not recyclable.
No, unfortunately, yeah. At least not in our program.
So that's where people have a really hard time understanding. Why isn't it recyclable? Because my friend who lives in such and such a state, it is. So tell us about that.
It's just the way our program works. It's the contractor that takes the material has to be able to turn around and sell it in bulk for it to be a worthwhile endeavor. And so they'll take certain types of materials that are acceptable pretty much universally, and that they can, they'll get a ton. They'll literally get tons of. And yeah, that's how it works. There are places that will accept for those who are really, diehard recyclers. But research it first. Always make sure to check. Never assume. Don't show up somewhere and tell them, "Hey, I heard you guys take," and then they say, "No, we don't." Check first. And some places might take styrofoam back, which is, but that's a market that's had issues. Just it's hard. There aren't a lot of people that'll take styrofoam to recycle it. That's the problem with it.
Let's talk about the TV dinner products that are out there. Some are the black plastic.
Yeah.
And then some are, like, especially if you order the bowl type of thing, are brown, sort of mixed cardboard. Both of them require heating. the plastic ones, right? They come in a container that has heavy wax on it. Is the outside recyclable?
By outside, do you mean the box?
The box.
The box, yes. The box is recyclable. It's cardboard. That's recyclable. The plastic little food dish or whatever that it comes in, no. At least not in our program.
You guys make us think too much, right? So you can take it out, that container.
Well, it's cardboard. So cardboard is cardboard. We'll take cardboard.
It, read the instructions. It's the same. It's okay, make sure I do it right. Throw that out. The other goes right into the garbage because it's pretty hard to destroy that because they put them in the microwave. They keep cooking those suckers. Right. So, and the little cellophane that goes on top of the food?
That for sure, that's garbage.
That's garbage. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the if people have a problem with the if their green cards or if there's a problem with the lid's not working, the wheel's broken, or there's a hole in it, what should they do, as well as on the blue cards for recycling?
Well, you can call 311. That's the simplest way to get it resolved. It should actually even be printed on the cart to call 311 if there's any damage. We have people dedicated to going out and doing nothing but repairing or replacing the cart. If they can repair it on the spot, they will. Otherwise, they'll replace it. And what they'll do with the cart that they replace is whatever is not damaged, they'll use those. They'll basically cannibalize those parts. Like if the lid is fine, if the body's cracked but the lid is fine, and they take the whole cart and the wheels are fine, they'll reuse the wheels. They'll they'll clean them first, of course, and then they'll reuse the lid. But yeah.
Okay, and right now is the department looking for any staff to drive trucks or
truck drivers? That's the one thing I didn't check for this week. I don't know if this week they announced it or not. I know that in general they're looking for drivers. I know that with the county, the way it works with the jobs website, miamidade.gov/jobs, you can go there and actually apply even if the job you want isn't currently available, and just have it in there and in the system. And I don't know. What I don't know is if you have to, it's already in the system, so all you have to do is when the job you want shows up, you have to go in and do something, or if it automatically, that I don't know. But I do know that they will let you apply even if the job that you want isn't there. I just don't know with drivers if they've announced it now for our department. But I do know that we in general need drivers.
Okay, so drivers are 4 days a week?
Yes, especially the waste collection drivers. The garbage truck drivers that go into neighborhoods, that's 4 days a week. If you work anything beyond that, it's overtime.
And whenever I hear those big trucks going in reverse, you don't even have to like
beep, beep.
And you go, there's a truck backing up.
Yeah.
Right, it's not over here. But the county does have a new truck, about a year old. That's all electric.
It's actually more than a year old now.
Is that right?
It's a couple of years old now.
Already? Where did time go?
It's been It's grown up. It's going to college already.
So, and that stays on the route out in Doral?
Yes.
And can it go the whole day?
That I don't know.
And so, and at night it parks in a spot and they plug it. Plug it in. Do the trucks driven by the same truck driven by the same people, or do they rotate drivers?
Typically, no. They drive the same people. Drive the same truck typically.
Yeah, they don't want to move the seats around too much. So in those big trucks, you have the joystick for the claw, and then you have cameras all over the place.
No cameras. They don't. I just found out that they don't.
They don't have a camera on it for the back?
I don't know for that, but I know that they don't have like general cameras. That's a good question.
And two seats, you could drive either direction?
Yes.
Does that mean that the claw goes on both sides, or are there two claws?
No, the claws only goes on one side. That's why they have the two seating, because the theory is, and a lot of drivers do it this way, is you go to the yard where it's parked overnight, you drive it from there to wherever your route might be, and then you switch sides, and then you have to drive on the right hand side to use the mirror and see the arm come out. But there are some drivers that they don't want to do the switch, so they just get in on the right side and just drive all the way to their
you ever use your backup camera
from that. Oh yeah, all the time. I can't I'm so used to it now, it's like, oh.
My wife was pounding me, you got to use a backup camera. So I have a truck, so I see one of our other cars is parked pretty close to me, behind me. I see it. I stand up on the truck. I see it. Okay, use the cameras. I ran right into it. $2,500, and I was doing 2 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not real good at it, right? But I try to, all right? So, but there's a skill that you need to do that. Then after a while, you have it been pointed down. Again, let's talk a little bit more about hurricane season, what people should look for around their property to see if they want to haul any of it away. What should they do as far as, let's say, in trees and landscaping?
Well, that's a little bit outside of my expertise, but anything that looks like it might threaten to fall or cause any damage to your property or anything, you might want to have it trimmed, like limbs on a tree or something like that. You can call for bulky waste pickup when you're done, or you can do it through the website. We just note, like I mentioned earlier, that we're in the middle of hurricane season now. At the moment, as of Monday, August 25th, we fortunately have been told by the National Hurricane Center that there is no tropical development foreseen for the next 7 days, which is about as far as they dare to go. So there's still a chance that that you can take care of those things and not have to worry. But if you keep procrastinating, keep waiting, and all of a sudden, if something, heaven forbid, something starts coming our way, you're gonna find that the dates that are available are farther out because people are going to be jumping on there and getting appointments. So that's why we tell people, do it before the season starts. Obviously now it's too late if you haven't done it before the season starts, but there's still a little window of opportunity.
And tell us, as we're getting ready to wrap up, tell us some of the things people can find on the website for solid waste.
Oh, we have all kinds of information about all the different services. We have the bulky waste, we have the TRCs, the listing of all 13 the locations, and also the items that each one accepts and doesn't accept. We have the home chemical collection centers and the mobile events listed on there, and the items that are accepted and not accepted. We have pages on recycling, what we accept, what we don't accept. What else do we have? Oh, just what you should do with your garbage collection service, what is accepted, what isn't. Put the carts out so many 5 feet apart.
Think about you
from
every Monday
anything.
and Thursday, Frank.
You don't have to. We tell people 5 feet, and then I see people like in their. I'm thinking I could see their minds are like, okay, they're gonna take a tape measure if you want to, but you don't need to. This is about 5 feet, roughly.
So. And the handles need to be facing the house.
Yes,
because they pick it up, and then
the lid flaps open a certain way, and that helps. Otherwise, you might end up with.
And please don't jam your stuff in there too.
No, because they sometimes they'll bang it or shake it a little bit, but there's only so much shaking you can do if the material's jammed in there.
Did you have a work anniversary recently?
Oh, you know what? August is it August 21st? I believe so.
Oh,
I believe so. That would have been late last week, Thursday or Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many years is that?
Well, I'm not good at math, so I started in the year 2000.
This is 5 feet, okay?
So I started in the year 2000, so whatever year it is now, it's 24.
Frank Calderon, Miami-Dade Solid Waste Department. Thanks so much. Remember, folks, check them out at miamidade.gov/solid
waste.
Solid waste. Have a great day, and we appreciate your time. Bye now.